Good morning and welcome again to another edition of Let's Talk Ed with Professor Chris. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Today is going to be another special show here, trying to get you all more help. We've talked to advisors, we've talked to ombudsmen. I'm not sure who else is left except this one. Today we're talking about success coach. What is that? I didn't have a success coach when I was in college. So you have it. We'll get more information about that. Stay tuned. And again, please subscribe. Please help me in welcome my own good friend, Mr. Michael Ure.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Good. Michael, you and I go way back. So I want this to be very, very friendly, very comfortable, just knowing how much you love to help students. But let's start with, this is a question I ask everyone on my show. In college, basically I want you to walk us through your journey a little bit. And then you can end up with how you got into success coach. Is that something you always wanted to do?
It was not something that I even knew existed until Wake Tech, really. So when I looked up the position, I was very sure that lots of people would want to do that because I worked with the registrar's office, I did adult learning, admissions. So I had been involved with colleges and I've never heard of that. So I said, this is the kind of job they're paying me to do what I did for extra when students were getting, enchanted with the process. I would walk them through a little bit more. And I said, this would be a perfect job for me. But I know that 2,000 people are going to apply for it. So I was very surprised when I made it to the final. And I have enjoyed it ever since, even though it's changed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. So tell us, what is a success coach?
In simple terms.
Or who is, yes.
Yeah, and many schools have them now, but they are slightly different. But the main thing is they connect students to resources. And you make the connection with them first, early on. And I will say Wake Tech has went through a lot of different ways to get to the new students. And the goal is to have every student have a success coach. And as you know, starting this fall, all the students in your major, for example, engineering, will have their very own success coach, and they will have advisors, and they will have faculty, and we're going to do these care teams. That's the new model of Wake Tech, Wake Tech Cares.
Okay, so you mentioned, it almost seemed like you were anticipating my next question, which is, when we hear success coaches, and you also mentioned advisors, yes, what's the difference between a success coach and an advisor?
And they do have some overlapping function. I would say one of the main differences is that success coaches actually reach out to students proactively, whereas typically the students will go to advisors to help them pick out their classes. And that's what they kind of know. But we are going to be working together very closely, and we have always worked together. But I think the new approach, and they will have their own advisors, as I said, as well as success coaches. And so we'll work strategies out together. And I might, for example, reach out to an engineering student, but would find out they had not seen advising. And I would say, you need to make sure you talk to an advisor because you're taking all these classes that you picked that might not be the correct classes.
Okay, all right. So I like the fact that you overlap actually with the advisors. When a student, and you and I have talked about different needs, and when a student comes to you, you're actually able to point them in the right direction. And we'll get to money because I know that's one area that students, usually want to get some information on. But walk us through a process of what you do as a success coach when a student comes to you.
Okay. Well, first, whether they come to me on their own or I reached out to them, my first thing is to get to know the student a little bit and let them know that my job is to help you be successful in whatever path you're choosing. But for me to help you, we need to talk and see what you really want to do. And so the students begin to tell me, and they tell me, for example, I want to be an engineering major. And they may say, but I really don't like math. And that puts a red flag in my mind because I know engineering is based on math. But they have been all their life thinking I want to be an engineer because they might have been making all A's and B's in school, but they really didn't like math, even though they might have passed it. They may have made A's and B's, but they hate math. So I kind of would refer them to career services, and they can do exploration and let them see different majors. I can give you examples of students like that.
Right.
I had a student that made all A's, and he was an engineering major, but he took a psychology or sociology class, and he came back to me and said, I'm going to change my major. I said, but you made all A's. He says, but I don't like engineering like I like psychology. And I've never had a class in whatever it was, sociology or psychology. And his mother was a medical doctor. So his family had taught him all his life, you're really smart, you're going to be an engineer or a doctor. He says, but that was their choice, it was not mine. So we help students guide them to what is it that you really want to do, and you can be successful in any career path.
So
that was a long answer.
No, that was great, because on your website, it actually says you all have ways of finding the students' strengths and, kind of helping them with that. And I think that's kind of one example you just gave, is you talking to them, you can figure out what their strengths are they might not know, and you're able to kind of point them in the right direction. So with the students that, you mentioned two ways that students are actually assigned to you, and then there are those that will just come to you, right? If a student comes to you, how do you determine whether you are the one to help them, or if this is an advisor that you go to?
It depends on what they want.
Okay.
And first, I will look on our master list to see if they have a coach, and have they talked to them and connect them to that person right then. I'll give them a little information, but my goal is always to put you with the right resource. So sometimes students just come because other students tell them, you need to go talk to him. He can help you. But I kind of play it by ear. What do you need? Right. And then I send it, because Wake Tech has so many resources. The ILC is one of the top places that I refer people to, because they'll identify. And really right now we have a great intake form. So when the students check these boxes and they say they have problems with time management, they need to improve their study skills, but they want to make all A's. So I'm kind of walking them through, how do you think you're going to make all A's? Well, I'm going to go to class, but are you going to check email, Blackboard, Teams? Are you going to ask your professor questions? Are you going to go to the office hours? And have you heard of the ILC? And I'm always amazed that most of them have heard of it, but they have never been.
Right. Well, talking about ILC, what is ILC?
ILC stands for Individualized Learning Center.
Okay, sure.
And they
just
can
for
help
those
students, any student in any class. Okay. And they really focus a lot on writing and math and science, but they can help in all classes. Okay.
Yeah, I'm actually interviewing someone from the ILC in a couple of weeks here, so we'll get more information on that. But back to the success coaches, how many are there? I'm not ending the show yet by asking you these questions, but I was just going to ask you, how do students find you? And I'm not also trying to direct traffic over to you, because I know students are assigned to you and you guys have a lot of students. But for the student that just finds you, how do they do that? Is it through the website?
I have had people tell me from the website, but we get what we call caseloads. And so right now we have 7 coaches, but we will have 12. And the goal is to, and we really only used to have 4. Right. And at one point we only had 2. So you can imagine with the increased manpower how much more effective we will be. Okay. But I believe that is folded into retention, that if we start with the students early. So our goal is to make sure every student that comes to Wake Tech as a new student gets a success coach. Okay. And we had been being assigned in various ways, but changing it into major makes it really, I think, more seamless for the student, because you're going to have your faculty that's going to teach in your discipline area, and you're going to have the advisors, and you're going to have the success coach. And we all kind of will work with them, hopefully even before classes start. And that will be something new for us. But for advisors, they've always done that.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to jump back a little bit. Because when we started the show, I looked in here and I said, success coaches never had that. I think it's something that is fairly new. Do you have any idea when it started? And as you also mentioned, it's not just Wake Tech, most colleges have it. So when do you think people realized that there was a need, and how did that whole thing started? I know I'm putting you back to get me some history here, but yeah.
I'm not really sure, but I'm sure it's less than 20 years, probably 10 has intensified, but the entire community college system has success coaches now, and they have a conference coming up in Winston-Salem for coaching. And I believe that what has happened is as technology has increased and students have been more able to do things on their own, that a lot has moved from the exact former counseling mode to a collaborative coaching mode. Because if the student knows what they want, you don't have to do everything for them. You just need to kind of guide them to the resource.
Right. Is there any type of training or seminars that you all have to go through? Like you said, when you saw the position and you applied, were there specific skills that they were looking for?
They were looking for, at that time, and they still are, people that understood higher education processes in terms of offices, registration, financial aid, career services. And in fact, when we first started, we were really partnered hard with career services, and there is a software called Career Coach. And so that was one of our functions in terms of measurements. Every student that you had, get them to go through Career Coach and guide them towards career services. And so that was a function, and financial literacy was a function. So now in the new model, I think that a lot of different areas have coaches because there are, in fact, career coaches at Wake Tech. And then there are success coaches. And then we have the financial person does coaching. And I think you've interviewed her. Have you? LaTanya Parsons. So we work closely with her. And really the success coaches, what I love about it is you get to work with every area of the college. And that when we first came was the main thing. Let us acquaint you with every area and meet with them. And so I would say for half a days at a time, we met with Pathways Male Mentoring. We met with the Office of Volunteerism and Leadership, financial aid, academic advising. We just met with everybody. So that when we started working with students, we had a really good idea of what the resources were. They also wanted us to bring our community connections with us. So there were, and Wake Tech has great partnerships. And if a student is saying, I really want to volunteer, I know we have the Office of Volunteerism and Leadership, but I'm also connected in ways that I can just suggest something to them. I know that you got me answering these questions in a very long way, but just shut me up and let's go.
No, that's great information that is needed for the students. I've always said you're in a very unique role. You know, I kind of put success coaches, advisors as front base for students, you know, the first point of, resource. What do you think it takes? If I say, give me 3 qualities of what it takes to be a successful success coach, what would be your top 3? Yeah.
The first one is you really have to care about students, because a lot of people say that they like people and they like working with people,
and that's why I asked you that question.
Work with people.
There you go.
They like work with people they like. Right. You got to work with all kinds of people.
There you go.
So I think that's the number one thing is that you are open enough to serve everybody. And the second thing is you have to really be patient and listen. Listen to the student. Don't just tell them an answer. First, dig a little deeper. What are you really asking? You're saying that you want to become independently wealthy. Let's find out, why do you want to do that? Oh, because you have food insecurity and you have all kinds of financial problems. But did you know we have Office of Student Money Management? And do you know that? And when I say things like Instacart, do you know what that is? They do. And I say you can shop for groceries at Wake Tech, and it won't be delivered to your house, but you can pick it up from various locations on campus through the Nest, which is manned by faculty and staff, volunteers. Then we talk about the Wake Tech scholarships, and they don't really know about them. And the Wake Tech Foundation does an excellent job. All they have to do is write a 1-page essay, and the ILC, the English department, all kinds of people will check behind them. And I have volunteered to help grade these papers. They're blind copy. I mean, I don't know who the person is, and each person might get 3, 4, 5 people looking at it, and we rank them. So we're telling the students, you need to go to this scholarship essay workshop. And they're like, okay. And then they go, and I think it's like 1 in 15 students that applied receive these scholarships, and the average award is $1,200. So when you start giving them numbers that make sense to them, they start moving forward. And we also have emergency funds. Right now we have COVID emergency funds. So just knowing the resources and pushing them out, that's
Okay.
what we do.
All right.
Did you ask me three?
Three? And it's okay if
Okay.
you have two. That's
Okay.
there's a third one.
I think,
But-
in my two, I might have, put some other things in it.
Right, right.
Okay.
And so that's good. All right. What are some of the challenges that you have, and again, we don't have to be very, I just want students to know what they could bring to you, and not so much what they cannot bring to you, because either way, I want students to be comfortable knowing that you care and you point them in the right direction. But what would you say some of the challenges are with issues that students bring to you?
I think the first one is that they are a little timid with communicating with the professors. And they may have lots of questions that they're asking me, and I'm saying, did you talk to your professor? No, I didn't. You missed the class because you had a doctor's appointment and you didn't let the professor know and ask them, can you make up the work? No, I just feel like they weren't going to do that. Well, you never know until you ask. If they say no, that's okay, but do ask. Ask, is there extra credit opportunities? And just ask questions, period. And that's what we all are here for, to answer those questions or help you find the answer.
Right, right. So I actually, since you mentioned faculty, I was going to ask you the question about faculty, but do you also have students that are on the verge of getting kicked out of school come to you?
Yes.
Okay.
And right now it's getting ready to be midterm, and they're going to start coming. Because we've been emailing, and I know students get frustrated with emails, but we email them, we call them, we send them messages on Teams, and in some cases we actually go visit classes virtually and in person. But what I like about it is, even though you didn't respond then, that I'm here. And I've even had students from past semesters that would contact me, but I had never talked to them during the past semesters. So you never know. It's an African proverb that you probably know, only when the student is ready, then appears the teacher or the resource. You've always been there, willing to help them, but they couldn't see you because they weren't looking. They weren't. Okay.
Yeah, I like you use that African proverb. There's another one that says we only pray when we need God. So there you go.
That's
too.
right.
That's another one too. All right. No, that's great. So it looks like you guys, and I mean success coaches, are always kind of the front line when they come in and they're all happy and it's good. And also at the end, when they're actually really in trouble, they do come to you. But you did also mention that they will even come to you with faculty issues and concerns.
Right.
How close are the success coaches with faculty, if any? Do you all kind of communicate?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
And I'm very familiar with a lot of faculty. But
good.
That's good. And putting it in the new format of the care teams, you will have to be familiar with the faculty in that particular discipline area. So I think it's going to be a good model. Yeah. And yes, you need to be very comfortable with faculty, and faculty need to be comfortable with us and asking us questions. And they refer students all the time.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I was going to ask you that too. So give us a typical scenario of a student coming to you with an issue with a professor and how you all reach out to the professor. And I'm sure this has been handled. So students know that there's actually a solution to that process.
Well, the first thing I want to know, why do you have a problem with the professor? And is it because you are not doing something you're supposed to do? And if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, have a conversation with the professor and explain to them why, especially if you have good reasons. And I just think there's a fear factor, and it could just be the idea of you're in college, especially students, even high school students, they're not used to the way a college might run, because in high school you're going to get announcements on the intercom and everybody knows you because you have the same basic people in your school for 4 years, from the 9th to the 12th grade. But we don't. They're coming from all over, from different high schools and different processes, and Wake Tech is a community college, but it's very complex and you can get lost. So I do think that my biggest challenge, and what I think is the biggest challenge for the whole process, is getting connected to the students and making sure that we at least talk to them once. And if we could do that, I think that we would resolve a lot of these issues. But when they come about faculty, sometimes if I know the faculty member well enough, I will kind of let them know this student is coming to see you. They have some issues. And if I don't know them, I always tell the students, communicate, send them an email, call them, send them a message on Teams. And if it doesn't go as you think it should have went, please let me know. And then we can kind of just brainstorm a little bit more, and maybe sometimes, and then that's when I would send them to advising. Maybe you need to drop that class and take it again next semester.
Okay, that's great. I think I've covered all the questions that I wanted to ask you about success coaches. Thanks for the information. What is one advice you will have for students?
Use your resources. Make sure you get connected. And especially in the beginning, don't just, and I know it's overwhelming, and also if I could say it, before you actually take the first day of class, begin to reach out. If you can go on the website, and I know orientation is overwhelming and a lot of things are changing. My main thing is just understand that Wake Tech has a lot of resources, and all you have to do is reach out. And if you ask anybody, they will likely be able to refer you to a success coach. And that's our job, is to navigate you to all the systems.
Okay, all right. And again, I'm not trying to direct traffic to you, since I know you assign students, but where can students find you?
We have a web page within Wake Tech. It's successcoach.waketech.edu. Okay. And if they look on that, they'll see all of the coaches. It has a make appointment form. It has a referral form, and students can refer themselves just by clicking that button.
Well, great information. It's my great pleasure to have Mr. Michael here today to talk about success coaches. Numerous resources. I'm trying to think of who else is left. Next week I'll be interviewing an advisor, but please utilize these resources. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me. Oh, and by the way, if you do subscribe, you can vote on whose hat you think is the best. I like Michael's. If you want mine too, just vote, and we'll take it from there. But Michael, thanks again.
Thank you.